eSports Corner. Take it away, Liqiud.
I love that intro. Okay, so excuse me, a lot of news this week. I'm only going to cover a couple of things that I think are big hitters. Mainly, I don't know if everybody knows this, but yesterday, Miami Heat purchased a huge stake in the Misfits organization. Once again, bringing esports more mainstream. I think that's huge for anybody that wants to make a living in esports. Koreans have had this for a while. It's not odd for Korea or Chinese teams to be like accepted as athletes playing in esports, but this is new to Europe and this is new to North America, and I think it's great to see more professional sports organizations throwing money into esports and taking it more seriously. So that was yesterday.
Yeah, looking at I think the documentary that Blizzard released, I think it was at BlizzCon, about Heroes of the Dorm. They were showing a lot of like pretty recognizable faces from like just your typical sports franchises and stuff, owners, players, and all the captions on them were like, part owner of this team, or like somehow they're invested in esports. And it does seem like everyone from the traditional sporting community is starting to take esports a lot more seriously, which is great to see. Anyways, that's just my little commentary on that portion of your esports corner, but you can carry on.
Okay, so one of the other things, especially if you're an amateur team, there's two things I think critical for you, especially if you want to move into that pro scene. Chair League Season 4 registration is currently open. That season's going to run January 30th to April 3rd of this year. Chair League's a great way to get started. Games are once a week. You schedule them. It started out as like a beer league and has moved into something that goes anywhere from a real casual team all the way up to pro teams. There's a number of teams that actually tried to get into the HGC proper this year that we're playing in Season 3 of Chair League. So I think there's room for anybody to be competitive in Chair League right now.
Yeah, and one of those teams was you guys too, right? Because you guys did try out for the HGC tournament. I think it was a third qualifier too. And I guess we can say it on air here. You had your asses handed to you.
Yeah, we did. We got spanked and found all the reasons we shouldn't do it. But, if you don't try, you never know.
For sure. And it's one of those things too, right? Like you'll never know how good the pros really are until you put yourself against them. And you might think you're great. You might be like, oh yeah, like I'm a diamond or master player and such. But it's almost like the pros can be at like that extra tier higher than that, right? And it's just amazing how much more aware they are of their surroundings and how much their mechanics are just so much superior to us plebs down here in Chair League.
And it definitely shows when you do something like a HGC qualifier match or even a higher level Chair League division. There's a couple teams that moved up from Division 3 into Division 2, and two of them have moved back down to Division 3. So you challenge yourself if you're interested. Another option that is going right now. So Blizzard partnered with Gosu Gamers to do the HGC Open Division. It's open to anybody. You sign up your team through gosugamers.net, and you play games against other teams that are looking to qualify enough to get a spot into HGC. So you earn points, and teams that are high enough will actually end up joining the HGC proper from the Open Division. Those games start January 16th in the EU and January 23rd in NA, and they'll all be not all be cast, but there will be two main casters. Or two main channels, right, casting those games as you progress through the Open Division. Grubby's going to have EU games with Tetcher, and then Jhow and Solid Jake are going to be covering games in NA. So
some pretty big names.
Right? No, absolutely. And it shows how seriously Blizzard's taken even the Open Division, right? HGC proper is where all of the pro teams are playing and where all of the big money tournaments will happen. But the fact that they're putting this much work into the Open, which is where, you'll get the amateur teams, you'll get pro teams that were eliminated and didn't make it into HGC proper, fighting for their place to get into the big tournaments at the end of the year. So
do you think with the HGC and how all in it feels like Blizzard is going this year, do you think this is kind of like putting all the chips on the table to see how things go, because we know that, you know, with a big esports following comes a very successul product, right? Like it's almost like a
Right.
chicken and the egg thing. They're trying to put all their money into the chicken to hope that the egg, I guess, comes afterwards. Well, I guess two questions. Do you think this is like a last-ditch attempt, or do you think this is just the beginning of something too? And do you think it's going to work?
I think if you look at the history of BlizzCons over the last, let's say, 4 years, you can see Blizzard has taken esports more seriously every year. Excuse me. It started with WoW Arena, and they've always taken that pseudo seriously, but not enough to really develop a whole ecosystem around esports for it, right? But it was always, there will be tournaments leading up to it. There was always tournament realms you could join, whether you were a pro or not. There were like those things always existed. They always took WoW Arena seriously. And then they moved on to Hearthstone. I should take it back. I totally left out StarCraft because I'm not in that scene at all. So I apologize to all the people listening to this. I don't know anything about StarCraft esports other than
Grubby is shedding a tear right now.
Right? I'm sure he is.
That's right. That's right. I watched the scene.
I know you do. I know, man. And I don't know much about it. I know it's always been taken seriously, so I shouldn't say they started with WoW Arena, because honestly, they probably started with Warcraft 3. We know they started with Warcraft 3. That's what Grubby was doing. They did it in StarCraft. They did it in WoW Arena. They did it with Hearthstone when Hearthstone launched. They took that very seriously. In fact, the first year at BlizzCon, they had a tournament of like invited players to do a Hearthstone tournament, like as the game launched. They did something with Heroes of the Storm while it was still in alpha and beta, and they did it with Overwatch. And I think this is their commitment to trying to take it to the next level. So not so much a last-ditch effort and more a, hey, we can do this and we don't need to depend on other organizations to help us do this. We're going to do this the way we feel it should be done, and we want to set that gold standard of this is how you run a league.
Yeah, because they've got
my opinion.
Because they've got a great game. I feel like this MOBA genre, because they are, you know, like the later player to the scene here, they've got such an uphill battle, right? You've got most people that are interested in this genre are already invested in your League of Legends, your Dota 2s. So I feel like in order for it to expand quite a bit, you either have to bring in new blood or steal away audience and gamers and like the best pro players, say, from League of Legends and Dota 2 as well. So this might be a good way to do that. I actually heard that the retainer that they're giving for HGC is larger than the retainer that the pro teams get in like League of Legends even. Obviously the money's probably like the money pools for the tournament winnings and such are larger, I'm assuming, for League of Legends, and especially Dota 2 with like something like the International. But so that's something that's impressive. So this might take those kind of like cusp teams from like your League of Legends or Dota that maybe don't get a lot of tournament winnings to be like, hey, maybe we can like crack into HGC, get a solid paycheck out of it, and this might draw some talent over. I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but I guess that's hopefully the plan here, because Blizzard does have a lot of money, and I mean, throwing it at something like this is the way you got to do it, I think. So.